You are listening to Geekfest Rants on the IC Robots Radio Network.
You have located Geekfest Rants, the entertainment podcast for genre geeks like you.
Shall we play a game?
Covering the world of vintage and current film and television since 2010.
Game over, man. Game over.
Featuring in-depth conversations on sci-fi, horror, fantasy, comics, toys, and conventions.
So say we all. So say we all.
And now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show.
You've seen this place.
Only in dreams.
Who are you?
Something inside me is awake.
What do you see?
Light. Darkness.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Kylo failed you. I won't.
We have to fight. Fulfill your destiny.
Hello everybody and welcome once again to Geekfest Rants. My name is Carlos Perone and today, as promised, we are going to do our second review of The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Last Jedi. This time around we have Kyle Perone, my son, who will be joining us and giving us his opinion. I chat with him and try to present my case and he will present his case. Definitely you're going to get a slightly different point of view. I'm trying to give you guys a wide array of opinions, which seems to be what a lot of people are going through with this film. It's not that the highbrow reviewers are all on one side. No, it's the fan base that's split, which is an interesting dynamic that you really haven't seen before to this extent. You might have seen a little of it during the prequels and a little bit during The Force Awakens, but this time there's a definite split, like practically right down the middle of how people are reacting to this film. And I think in the manner in which, I explained my position during the last time we talked about this, in the manner that you're going to hear Kyle explaining his, and in the manner that you're going to hear the next one in a few weeks, you're going to get a pretty broad range of where, this film is falling in people's opinions. So, without any further delay, let's talk about The Last Jedi.
What did I teach you?
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number one.
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you.
Can you dig it?
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
That spawn of Satan.
Oh, really?
The Force will be with you, always.
All right, now let's get a perspective from Kyle, my son, who went to see it with us when we saw it last week, and he actually got to see it twice already, just like I did. And just like anything else, these type of movies, and I think I've mentioned this in the past, he is pretty much the market audience, the intended audience. Actually, he might be even a little too old for that now, because the target audience, I imagine, is kids that are maybe even younger than him. For people like myself, who are original trilogy people and even prequel trilogy people to some extent, collectors, that sort of thing, we are not the target market. The target audience is younger kids. So Kyle, at least, is in that end of that spectrum in a way. But let's see, what kind of reaction he had to the film. So Kyle, why don't you tell me a little bit of what you thought and what you were expecting, and did you get what you were expecting, and what worked and what didn't work as far as you're concerned? And also, where would this film fall as far as your favorite ones, and even within subsections of the trilogies, where does it fall as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, like when I first saw it, I think I went in expecting a little bit too much, like in terms of I guess I thought they would handle Luke differently. I thought Kylo Ren was going to go full light side. And I thought we were going to learn more about Snoke. So the film disappointed me in some of those aspects just because I was wrong about things, really. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it fit in nicely with the rest of the canon. I thought it, in relationship to the other films, it felt good. I felt like I was watching another great Star Wars movie. I don't think it was the best one, but I thought it was pretty good. I'd say out of the new films, I think Rogue One is my favorite, followed by Force Awakens, and then this one. So it's not the best. It's my least favorite of the new ones, but it's still pretty good. I thought it was still pretty good. I mean, and overall, I think I liked this more than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and then I think that's about it as far as it goes. So it's low, but it's not awful. And it's not bad. It's not okay either. I thought it was still great. I love all of the films. I just find this one definitely was not the weakest one, like some people think.
One of the things about this movie that I don't think we've ever seen before, and we might have gotten a slight taste of it, with Force Awakens, is the humor. There's a lot of sprinkled on humor in this movie that I found at some points over the top. It kind of brought me out of the movie. It kind of felt like we were watching a skit, as I mentioned in the previous episode, almost like a Family Guy or a Robot Chicken kind of quick little skit. How did you react to the humor? I
thought the humor was fine. There was just one or two points when I felt like it was too, it didn't fit into the Star Wars lore really. I didn't feel like characters would use that word. At one point, Poe says oh, look at this big ass door, and I'm like, I don't think anybody's ever said ass in Star Wars before. Last time I remember. And then there was I forget what the other one was, but there was just one other joke that I felt just didn't fit within I wouldn't see Star Wars characters making a joke like that. But overall, the humor I thought was great. It was fine. It might have been a little bit too much, but otherwise it all fit pretty much. What about Luke's demeanor? We haven't really seen Luke since Return of the Jedi. We just get a glimpse of him in Force Awakens. If you're used to a certain kind of Luke, a very optimistic, young, he goes from Star Wars to Jedi. In Jedi, he's more mature, yes, but he's still a very, outgoing, optimistic kind of individual. How did you feel about his, not necessarily not Mark Hamill's portrayal, but the way that he was written? Yeah, a grumpy old guy who wants to die. That part, I honestly, to an extent, I kind of felt that was what was going to go with him. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the way his death was handled, basically, but everything else was I thought that was good. What about, and this is one of there's three main controversial aspects in terms of what the people that are having a somewhat negative reaction to the film, the way that it was written. This one is one of those three key ones, and that is Leia's kind of force flying scene where she gets ejected into space because of the explosion, and then she somehow gets revived and kind of flies very still, statuesquely, towards the ship, inside the ship, and gets back in the ship, all through the force. Yeah, that part I had zero problem with. I thought that was beautiful, honestly. That was a big standout moment from the whole Star Wars. All the Star Wars films for me was that moment, because I was in shock, but I was also just amazed by how it all transpired, and the way it was shot was beautiful. I know some people are like, "Oh, it's Mary Poppins Leia," and I'm like, I don't care. It was good, and a lot of people because I've been reading and watching. A lot of people are saying it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, yeah, that whole crystallize and you just kind of stay still. That's a thing that's been happening a lot in movies in general lately. Was anytime they do some sort of space scene that happens. But that also happened with Kanan in Star Wars Rebels, a similar thing. And I forget how he got out of that, but he was able to survive that too, you know, and he started getting all crystallized and stuff. I don't think it was as dramatized when he was caught like that. But
well, it's funny you mentioned that, and let me ask you a question, because this is something that in the past nobody wanted to step on each other's toes. So in other words, if you're going to have a scene in a movie, now movies are supposed to take precedence over everything else that's under the Star Wars umbrella. I don't think in the past, and I'm talking about Clone Wars here, that Lucas would have allowed an episode of Clone Wars to kind of do something that is going to be done in a movie a year later, for example.
Yeah,
there are things here that are kind of like, oh my God, they just redid this whole thing. This is I'm not saying they're ripping each other off, but there is a little less control of storylines, of available storylines.
Like, I don't think that really.
You think it's coincidence?
Coincidence? What do you mean? Like
that this movie has a scene where a major character gets ejected into outer space, and then Rebels has one a year earlier?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the storytelling. That, you know, I think they had a moment to do that. Now, the scene in general, they could have done something different, but this is what we got, and I liked it. You know, like they could have done something less flary and dramatic, but you know.
What about this whole new ability of technical ability, that is, of the Empire to be able to track ships when they're in hyperspace?
I think that ability has been planted since Rogue One.
Well, I know that it came out later.
Because they did it. They mentioned hyperspace tracking, and
but nobody
that's fine.
Nobody paid any attention to it.
I don't have a problem with it. I think that's. I mean, it's gonna be a problem for the Rebels, but I don't have a problem with it.
There's a new character, I think Vice Admiral Haldo.
Yeah,
and she's the one that kind of takes over for Leia. You know, when Leia gets hurt, and the way that the character is portrayed right off the bat, she just clashes with Poe. Do you have, you know, how did you feel about that in terms of, to me, it almost made you feel, the audience watching the movie, you know, Poe is our good guy, and everything we see, we kind of see through his eyes, not through Holdo's eyes, because he is a lead, more or less.
Yeah.
To me, she was being portrayed as a bad person, and not an evil, you know, first order person, but just a jerk, a total jerk.
That's
how do you feel about the way that the story was written, where they decided to portray her as a jerk just because she won't tell him what's happening?
I think it was I didn't like her character, not because of the way she was portrayed. Like, I feel like, honestly, like, her being a jerk helped, and the way when she eventually did reveal the plan and when she sacrificed herself, that all helped Poe grow to become a better leader. I just feel like they didn't have to create a whole new character just to kill her off again, just for that. You know, they could have put... Honestly, I wish Admiral Akbar was in that role. I know his acting might not have been as good, but one of the things that angered me the most about the movie was just Admiral Akbar and how he just got sucked out. No, nothing. And I miss him.
Well,
I miss him really bad.
That's the thing. Yeah. If you try to think about it, it's like... So was the intent of that whole Haldo Poe thing was kind of a way to show the audience that Poe is growing from a hotshot pilot who does reckless things that Leia yells at him about it, to the point where even Haldo at the end, she's like, oh, I like him. It's like, no, you don't. You don't like him. You hate this guy. He's a jerk. You think he's a jerk.
I think she liked him because he started to understand, and she taught him a lesson, basically.
I just couldn't understand, why would you be teaching a lesson in the middle of this crisis?
Yeah, well,
you don't. That's not the time for a lesson.
That's something that's done in movies a lot. You know,
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of the big thing is people read too much into it too much.
Okay, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
In Force Awakens, we have basically a big important sequence that is they need a way to write the characters to have to sneak into a Imperial facility. And Finn is the key because he used to be a First Order guy. Okay. Yeah. In this movie, once again, they're in a situation where they need to sneak into a First Order facility. Yeah. And guess who? Finn. Hey, I used to be a janitor. Yeah. I'll get you in. I know everything. It's like, do you have a problem with them kind of repeating that same?
No, that makes sense. I mean, like, because I know in one of the novels they did, which was Finn's stormtrooper training. I don't think they go into detail about that, but they just know like he gets shipped all over the place, you know? He's seen a lot of stuff.
What about Canto Bight? Overall, you know, it's pretty easy to understand when you see the movie that entire sequence didn't really achieve anything in terms of their mission was a failure.
Yeah.
They didn't find the right guy. They found a different guy. That guy betrays them. They get caught. They get, somehow they managed to get out. But what, in your opinion, what was the point of going to this planet for story purposes?
For story purposes, I think it was just supposed to bring Rose and Finn together a little bit more. And Canto Bight, like itself, like I feel like the music was too earthly. The casinos itself were too casino-y. They were not. It was not Star Wars enough. That whole area, like the way everything looked was good, but except for like the tuxes, that was ridiculous. But it fits, I guess, in terms of like the story. It makes sense because they can't win every battle, and that whole mission, yes, it completely flopped. But
they lost every battle.
Yeah, they lost everything.
Any battles.
Yeah, but that happens, That happens sometimes,
What about in Canto Bight, there's a big sequence with these horse deer. They call them fathiers, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
how did that grab you?
I mean, I thought, sure, it looked a little bit ridiculous, maybe, but I thought it was nice. It was something new we really haven't seen. Except for like maybe in Rebels we've seen some stuff like that, or in Clone Wars we've seen some stuff like that. But I thought it was fine. I felt like it fit.
You mentioned Rose before because yes, this is the so-called more or less the excuse to get Rose and Finn by themselves and try to develop something with these characters. Since they go through this whole Canto Bight and then they go to the First Order ship, but what is the purpose of getting these two together? Your opinion in terms of what's the point of getting these two to go on a mission?
I think it's just to bring them closer, just to give Finn a new romantic interest. And honestly, I was fine with Finn and Rey, which would be good. I feel like they're trying to pull the card, like the love triangle card, because that's what gets all the fangirls excited with. Because I know like online I see all the fan art of like Rey and Kylo, and then Poe and Finn, like they're trying to ship Poe and Finn too. It's just, I mean, it's fine. Like I don't really care how it ends up. I just don't want them to focus on it too much. Like
didn't you get this? I got this weird vibe from Rose, at least at first, that she might be a little crazy because like. Yes, she's hysterical crying at first, but then she's like this super fan of Finn. It's like, I love Finn. Oh, Finn's the best. You're the greatest. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, but you're escaping. I'm going to zap you now. It's like, what's wrong with this girl? She's like all over the place. She can't focus,
I mean, I liked her character though, honestly. Like I know some people are like they're comparing her to Jar Jar. I'm like, no, she's nothing like Jar Jar. She's just great.
Again,
I don't think she's the best character ever, but she's good.
As far as I'm concerned, she doesn't really serve a particular purpose other than what you said before, the forced love triangle. Because I guess somebody said that you got to throw a love triangle.
I think this is going slightly off topic, but at the end,
and I don't think Finn is attracted to her. I don't think.
Because she kissed him. I don't know.
Yeah, but I
feel like somebody's going to get upset.
I don't see any chemistry, especially from Finn. From her, I kind of see it almost like a stalker kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like
I actually
crazy girl.
Now that we're talking about this a little bit, I'm seeing that.
Oh crap! Here she comes. Oh my God! Pretend you're not here. Yeah. Oh hi, how you doing? That kind of.
I kind of get that.
That's what I get out of him.
But like at the end, I noticed Poe and Rey for the first time acknowledging each other.
Right. Now,
and I think they're going to...
Are they supposed to? It's like,
they're trying to set them up. And I think that could work too. But I mean, honestly, I kind of want Finn and Rey. That's what I want. But that's going into the whole love triangle crap that
who knows?
I don't want, really.
The problem is that, and this is an overarching problem here, is that the way this movie is structured... The way that somebody decided, Kathleen Kennedy, whoever, somebody in charge, they decided that every director gets to rewrite everything. There is no ongoing
they don't have.
There might be an ongoing detail as to when certain characters will die. In other words, first movie, get rid of Han Solo. Second movie, get rid of Luke. Third movie, get rid of Leia. That's the whole purpose of these films, is to get rid of the old, to give the new ones. So my problem is that you can kind of say, well, somebody made a plan that first, Finn meets Rey, and now Finn meets Rose, and then in the third film, he'll choose one of the two, and the other one will end up with Poe. Okay, great. But guess what? I don't think so. I think the way they structured the film is that everything, except for how they get rid of characters, main characters, is up for grabs.
Yeah, I
agree. Which is one of the biggest issues that I had with this film.
I don't even think that the character deaths are 100% planned out. Like, I'm sure it's recommended, but it's not.
The only ones that are set in stone are the big three. Those big original three. Han Solo, probably. Luke, and Leia. Yeah. Those are planned out.
And I also think that the anthology movies are more planned out, even though, they have had director problems, but I think those are more planned out than the actual trilogy ones.
Because, again, the anthologies have the luxury of not having to answer to anybody.
Yeah, they don't have to make sequels to themselves.
Right, right. They hopefully fit within the world of Star Wars, kind of like, Rogue One fitted perfectly.
Yeah, I loved Rogue One with that,
But you don't have to spend, you don't have like 17 items that have to fit. With Rogue One, you only had like 2 items maybe that had to fit into Star Wars more, because they decided to go that way. That doesn't mean that the rest of these standalone films are going to go, butt end against some other movie. It's not like you have a movie that's going to be, this movie ends and it's the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. No. I don't think they're purposely doing that. This Han Solo movie that's coming out, I have a feeling, it's no mystery. Yeah, he's younger, so it's not going to fit perfectly against anything. I
don't think it's going to like set up like A New Hope or anything.
No. It's not going to set up anything.
Yeah, it's just going to be an origin story, essentially.
Right. Here's a question for you. We were talking about Canto Bight. The character of DJ, once again, you have somewhat of an A-list actor, more or less, A-, maybe, a very important actor playing a character. What was the purpose of his character?
It was supposed to help fail the mission, essentially, and
fail the mission. Wow.
It was, I guess, I feel like it wasn't, like, he was just there for flair, I guess, just to add that, like, add the slicers technically into there, because now that, like, slicing is canon now, because originally it was mostly Legends stuff, and, like, now officially there's slicers, like, that's the official term for a Star Wars hacker now. And the character, I thought it fit well. That's something I say a lot, is things fit well. You didn't have to get Benicio del Toro to play him. You could have just gotten anybody to play him, because he wasn't in there that long anyway.
Did the stutter bother you at all?
No, the stutter was fine. I thought it was a nice touch.
It drove me crazy. It felt forced. It felt almost disrespectful, if you will. I mentioned this before. A stutter on a character only works in certain ways. If you're trying to make a crazy comedy,
I feel like the stutter is like as if it was from a drug user, like he's a drug user, like the death stick guy. I feel like he probably takes a lot of death sticks. That's
but
what
I'm just
thinking.
saying, there are certain places where a stutter fits, but there's certain places where it's almost like I'll tell you what, it's kind of like and this is something that Star Wars used to do this all the time. All the bad guys are British, basically. They have a British accent. Why? Because that's an old thing from the 50s and the 60s when they used to make World War II films, and the Germans, guess what? They were all English, because you can't have movies where Germans are speaking German because nobody understands anything. So when a German soldier, for example, is speaking in English, they have to give him an accent, and a lot of times it's everything is British. Here, you give the shifty guy, the guy who you don't know whose side he's in, a stutter. And I think it's unnecessarily offensive, almost, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't really care.
And he was basically, They basically did a reverse Lando. He's the shifty guy. He's my friend. Oh no, wait, what are you doing here? Oh wait, he's not my friend. Oh, I'm your friend. How you doing? Oh, he is my friend. Oh, he betrays me. Oh, he's not my friend. Oh, he lets me go. He is my friend.
Yeah, I read Rian Johnson originally wanted Lando for that role.
Oh, it would have been horrible.
That would have been bad. I would have been really pissed. Then it would have been one of the worst Star Wars movies.
That would have been so much worse. But
yeah,
are we to think that we're going to see this character again in the future?
Maybe. I'd be up for it. Like if he pops up again, because like I feel like he'll play both sides. So like he'll be good. Maybe the next movie, let's say he pops up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll help you," and then he'll be like, "Oh no, I'm not going to help you," but then he'll help you again. You know, there's people like that.
One of the previous,
he's like Hondo Ohnaka. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but you know what, Kyle? Hondo Ohnaka is ridiculous. It's a cartoon character
but he's
that
like
is
the coolest.
It's a weekly.
I hope he shows up in a movie. He's great.
But this is the problem. The movie seems to grab so many over-the-top ridiculous things that normally you can get away with on a cartoon. But this isn't a cartoon. This is supposed to be a little more serious, a little more canonish. And that's the problem, is that, and it's going to happen later in one of these things I'm going to mention. It's like, this would never happen in a movie, but this would happen in Rebels, or it would happen in, where you're expecting, the age of the audience to be way, 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 way younger.
I feel like it's because we're getting new stuff. Like back in like the Phantom Menace and stuff, and or like the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, we've seen new Force powers that weren't seen. Like we saw Yoda basically deflect the Force lightning from Dooku and from the Emperor, and he like held it like a ball. And
right.
we seen,
but that happened within a trilogy.
And we saw like this was the only time we also saw it was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I thought this was stupid, but they did it anyway. Like a Force speed run. If it was like for a second, they just dodged all the things by doing a Force speed run. There's new stuff.
Let me ask you something else here. Force Awakens, we got a brief glimpse at the Knights of Ren. What are the Knights of Ren?
Well, we don't know yet, 100%. We're theorizing that it's the some of the kids that Kylo Ren took with him that he didn't kill when he left Luke's temple.
Let me ask you another question. If you never found out, let me put it this way. If the Knights of Ren were never mentioned again, would that bother you?
Yes. By the next movie, we don't have some sort of answer to that. I'm going to be a little bit upset.
What about the visions that Rey had in Maz Kanata's basement when she grabbed the lightsaber? She saw stuff from Empire Strikes Back, because we saw that. We saw it. She saw stuff from her younger years. She saw the Knights of Ren. She saw Luke in the rubble. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get deeper into those visions, or that's it?
I think we will with the new movie, because I'm going to probably say this a lot too with the new questions you're asking, but since J.J. Abrams is coming back and he directed Force Awakens, I'm sure he's going to try to steer everything back onto the way that he would have gone with it,
But don't you think that's not bad filmmaking? Well, don't you think that's bad planning and overall filmmaking?
Yes, it is.
It's a trilogy. You're supposed to have a vision, a constant vision.
Yeah, I agree with that. They should do that, but at the same time, for me, it hasn't gotten completely south yet. Mm-hmm. The new Han Solo movie, I'm worried, though, because of some bad planning, but that wasn't continuity planning. It was just bad directors, possibly bad acting.
Well, that's one of the worst fears when you're watching a movie that switched hands, is a review that says this movie feels like it's two different directors doing two different things. That's the worst nightmare.
That's what Justice League was.
And hopefully that won't happen to the Han Solo movie. But here, it's like saying I'm watching a trilogy that seems to change gears in between chapters. It's like, okay, well, maybe that's better. Let me just jump to another subject. Yoda. Not so much in terms of why he's there and what he does and what his purpose is, but how did he look to you? Did he look okay?
I liked the way he looked. I appreciate the fact that they went to the Empire Strikes Back molds for him. The only thing I wish they could have done was...
they were Return of the Jedi molds.
Oh, Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I wish, though, that they had him a little bit more transparent. And I did have a problem. I know this is really nitpicking, but he hits Luke on the head with his cane. First of all, how does he physically hit him with that.
Okay, well, think about this.
Because he never physically hits... Because, like, Luke, when he's in his weird spirit form against Kylo Ren, he doesn't hit him, ever.
But remember, Luke kissed Leia's top of her head.
Yeah, that
and
too.
she felt that.
Oh, that's weird, yeah.
So...
Maybe they're just getting stronger as they're being...
I guess it's more of this new powers thing, where they're giving us new powers.
Like, I could see if they do it in a way where it's like, okay, the longer that they've been Force ghosts, the more that they're learning about what the ability does and how it can affect the mortal world, let's say, then I'm okay with that. If they go into a little bit more detail with that, then I'm okay. But if they just put this out there with no explanation in the next movie, they don't explain it, then I'm gonna have a problem.
Why do you think Yoda didn't make it clear to Luke when he burned down the tree that the books were already gone?
I think he was speaking in riddles like he usually does, you know?
When I first saw Yoda, I wasn't sure if I was looking at a CGI or a puppet. It looked like a combination of both.
I think the CGI that you were seeing was just the
glow?
blue glow. That's what I thought.
Well, the other
I
problem,
wish he was just more translucent, like he was in
the other
Return of
problem
the
is
Jedi.
that we had never really seen him in that kind of a lighting scenario. You know, we saw Yoda from Empire, and
That's
he looks
true.
very
Yeah, 'cause you never...
outdoor, bright. I mean, you're in a swamp, but it's a very brightly lit. And then we saw him in Return of the Jedi in the hut, and he's just already practically half dead already. So he's kind of lit a certain way. Here, they lit him completely different. And to me, I couldn't tell. I'm like, is this a puppet or is this a CG? It looks like it's moving like a puppet, but it doesn't seem to have...
I just think, like, because I was thinking that at first too, but then I was like thinking, I'm just like, it must be just because we've seen so much like CGI and stuff like that before.
Yeah, we don't trust anything anymore.
Is
I'll
that
tell
really
you.
him?
I'll tell you something funny. This is something that happened to me through the first time we watched the movie. Was that every time I would get stuck on something that bothered me, it would take me a long time to get off of that subject mentally.
Yeah,
I would get stuck on it,
and
then I would have to jump back in the movie.
I had that problem too in the first time.
The second time, I kind of went with the whole thing, and it was easier to watch.
Yeah.
But one of the problems I had with Yoda, and this is really ridiculous. Okay, think about the Yoda that they used in this movie, especially when you're looking at him, you know, from the front of his face, not the back of the front. Well, remove his ears. There's a lady that I sometimes see at work who reminds me exactly of Yoda, except for the ears. And she has that same chubby little cheeks and round little face and very, you know, like almost...
Yeah, you told me this.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't get this woman's face out of my mind while I'm watching Yoda. And I'm trying to concentrate. And it's really weird. I wish I could point her out to somebody, because I'm like, I'm not crazy. She looks just like Yoda.
You need to get a picture.
I got to get her to put on Yoda ears and then take a picture of her. I wonder if she'd go for that. Probably not. And
Just have Star Wars like one of your movie night
that's
things.
bad. And that'll probably get me fired. So we don't want to do that.
Yeah, that probably would.
Anyway, let's move on from Yoda. Poe's mutiny. So the whole point of this, keep saying it to yourself. The whole point of this is for Poe to learn to be a good leader. He forms a mutiny, basically.
Yeah.
You don't recover from a mutiny. You don't get forgiven for a mutiny. That's okay? I mean, how do you feel about that? He goes really, I mean, short of killing Holdo himself.
No, he wasn't going to kill her.
I know, but mutiny. That's basically what you did. From a writing perspective.
Yes, it was a little bit more complicated than it needed to be.
I mean, come on.
I mean, it felt Star Wars. It felt like a Star Warsy mutiny to me, but that's still like... I know it sounds like I'm really trying very hard to defend this, but it felt right. It felt natural to me. I didn't have much of a problem. I felt like it was a little bit too complicated, but
okay, I'll give you another one.
It felt fine.
Phasma.
Yeah, that was a little bit of disappointment.
Phasma. We met Phasma in the last film, and she's this baddie, stormtrooper-ish, in charge type of shiny, bright, chromy person.
And they just did a...
She shows up here, she does 2-3 lines, she throws a couple of punches, and she falls in a pit of fire.
She might as well have been just one of those action figure exclusives at Toys R Us that they were trying to milk, like the Executioners.
I mean, is she the Darth Maul of this film? The holy crap, this is a great looking character, and we're not going to do anything with?
Yeah, well, she's another Boba Fett.
I think Boba Fett got it. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to figure out is this it? And the problem with this whole thing is that it's almost like I have to ask the same questions to different people. It's like, J.J. Abrams, what was your point of Phasma? And then Rian Johnson, what was your point of Phasma? Are we dealing with two different people who have two different purposes for these characters? And it depends on, because theoretically, I mean, Phasma could show up in the next film. Oh, she's okay. She fell in the fire, but she was protected by the armor.
They could have done. They could do that. It would be a little bit much if they
Remember,
did that.
she survived being thrown apparently in a garbage chute.
That's
and
true.
Then the whole Starkiller base exploded, and somehow she got out of that whole whatever. So they could ridiculously write her into the next film in the same manner that they ridiculously wrote her into this and wrote her out of this.
They could. I mean, they would have to find some really good excuse to bring her back.
Again, why make this so difficult? The writing process shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah, I feel like because originally Colin Trevorrow was going to take on the reins of the third one, so they were gonna. Yeah. All three of them were gonna just completely do something. But now that JJ's back, I'm sure you're gonna see a lot of things that that were undone. We're gonna get redone again.
I don't know. Who knows? That's the whole point. That's my whole point. This feels to me like new director comes and they spin the wheel of writing, and wherever it lands, that's where the story goes.
We've never had this problem with Star Wars because,
well, Lucas was always in charge of the story.
Yeah, like even with the other movies that were he didn't direct them,
the original,
but he was still in charge. Right,
he was hovering over everybody, and especially
during the prequels,
and especially during story. The story was the most important thing.
And Clone Wars too. He was there through every episode.
Yeah. He would say yes, no. That's why I was saying before about if you're going to be using this element a year from now, don't use it Remember when Clone Wars was first put together, and Filoni used to talk about how there's certain things Lucas says you can't touch this, you can't touch that. Don't even ask me about this character. And later on, he would say, okay, now you can use this, or now you can do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a free-for-all of, here's the entire Star Wars encyclopedia, go crazy.
Yeah.
I think now they're in go crazy mode.
I agree, because ever since Rebels came out with there's been all those new mystical force powers that's come up, and it is too much sometimes for me. But at the same time, it's just I like the new stuff that's coming out, but sometimes there's a little bit too much new at one time, or there's a little bit.
Do you separate all these things in your mind, or is everything you just one big blob of Star Wars?
Everything is, but I do sometimes separate things. But I always eventually find something online that convinces me that it's okay, or I rewatch Clone Wars or Rebels, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? No, this fits. This is fine. Some things are ridiculous, but I mean, it's not. You can't take things too literally and realistically with Star Wars too. At the same time, I mean, if there's a point though when there's somebody literally just I know how you said Leia was flying. She wasn't flying. She was just using the Force to nudge herself by grabbing the door, just nudging herself forward, and gravity just took her the rest of the way. Because that's what happens in space. If you grab the doorknob, let's say there's a doorknob in space, you just pull the doorknob and push yourself forward.
Okay. I tried to make this point.
I've had this conversation with you before.
I tried to make this point off air with you. She flies through space. She enters the exploded ship side, goes through that whole area that's pretty much empty except for the flying garbage everywhere because it's all empty. She reaches a glass door kind of thing. She puts her hand on the glass door kind of thing. We cut to the other side of the door with Poe and Finn and everybody going, oh my god, she's here, we gotta help her. They press the button, the door goes swoosh, and then they're wheeling her into a med bay or something. If you open a door where the other side of the door is space, guess what's going to happen? Everybody will get sucked out.
I think there's
something called an airlock.
Yeah, I think there was an airlock. You just didn't really see it. Or
it was a cutscene?
One door was open, but the other one was closed, and then they closed it, but they didn't show
There were no multiple doors. There was an explosion in the room.
I think
everything was in pieces. Okay, fine. You can pretend
whatever.
it was.
Even if there wasn't, it doesn't matter. It's Star Wars. Leave me alone.
Here's the thing. That would have been such a stupid, simple thing to do.
Yes, that would have been
They could have created, which they've done in the past, when they have an open area without a door to the outside. Guess what? There's a shield. So you see the effect of some kind of magnetic shield.
Yeah, that's what they do in Clone Wars and Rebels.
Right,
they always had a shield.
And you always, some goofy shield. Guess what? That's all they had to do was put some sort of shield look, so it kind of makes a little sense. But why are we trying to make sense here? Let's move on. Okay, here's another one of those three gigantic plot holes that most people of my persuasion are falling into. Snoke's backstory.
Yes, that was the most disappointing thing for me.
Okay, we have The Force Awakens. There's a bad guy who's Kylo Ren, and the bad guy has a boss. The boss is pretty powerful. Okay, yeah, okay, he's pretty powerful. In this film, the boss is very powerful. He's got Force lightning. He's got some Jedi Sith kind of powers.
But he's not a Sith. He's not a Sith.
Well, how do we know that?
Because he's. I think they said or something like that, or the Visual Dictionary said it too.
We don't go to the movie with the Visual Dictionary in our hand.
Okay,
we go to the movies.
He's not a Sith. Though.
Maybe popcorn in your lap.
He's not a Sith. Though.
We don't know anything. We don't know anything.
But we don't know anything.
You go to the movies and you watch a movie. You don't have a guy there sitting with a Visual Dictionary telling you, and in Chapter 4, we see the picture of Snoke, and he is not a Sith. No. Okay, he's got all these powers. So he's a pretty big, powerful kind of guy. He looks weird. He looks bizarre. He looks like nothing we've ever seen before. So he's not a man-a-man. He's not a Hammerhead. He's some weird new thing that looks weird. Looks like manufactured almost. Like he hasn't completely formed yet or something. He looks bizarre.
I think he's a little overcooked.
Either over or undercooked. I don't know. We know that he tempted Kylo Ren and kind of turned them into a dark kind of Sithy kind of being and taught him all these things that are dark side-ish because he was training with Luke, learning stuff, but then somehow, I don't know, on the weekends, I guess when he was screwing around with his friends, in some other planet, that's where he must have met Snoke or whatever. So Snoke is this guy that seems to have a plan. Now, he's not some guy that, for example, that Kylo Ren is friends with and they hang out and they talk about stuff. No, this is the guy that's in charge of the whole freaking First Order. So this guy is a powerful, important person. He's so powerful and important that he's got an entire freaking army under his thumb.
Yeah, I don't...
What's his backstory?
We don't know.
Why not?
Because we just don't know. Like I'm not trying to defend anything here. We don't know, and that's the thing that I do have a serious problem with. That's the thing I have the most problem with in this movie is that we don't know who Snoke is.
Do you think he's dead?
I think it could be that he's dead, or that he could have some sort of not Sith power because he's not a Sith. But some sort of dark side power that allows him to
regenerate. He's a clone of himself or something.
Because we have clones. I think he could be a clone.
I got a question for you. He claims, which we all believe him, let's say, that he's the guy that allowed Rey and Kylo Ren to make those connections.
Yes.
He's the one that turned it on, let them connect to trap her into coming to the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, after he's dead, they see each other again. They connect again.
Yeah, that gave me.
Does that mean?
Yeah.
And I never got the feeling that either one of them was initiating, because to me it almost looked like they were both surprised that they were connecting again.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
it's almost like when you knock knock and you're like, they were both kind of like,
yeah.
So my question was that Kylo Ren getting used to that power, being able to use that power? It definitely wasn't Rey, because Rey was like, what's this kind of look? And then she kind of, screw it, I'm not talking to you type of thing. So does that mean he's still alive?
Maybe.
Was he a force projection, just like Luke was a force projection?
I don't think he was a force projection. I think that he's maybe a clone or something along those lines. Because you saw his body there. His body didn't disappear. It was there. It was gross, so
right. But I'm saying, well, the body would disappear only if he died for real, like Luke or Obi-Wan or Yoda. They died, they disappear, but he didn't disappear. He was just a blubbering massive.
Well, then maybe he would. Well, because this, I know I'm talking about the Sith here, even though he's not a Sith, but the Sith don't know how to come back as a ghost. The Sith can't come back as a Force ghost unless
but you originally said he wasn't a Sith.
I know, but but he wouldn't know how to use the Jedi power, because it's a Jedi power to come back like that,
But we're not saying. But I'm not even saying he's dead. I'm saying, is it possible that he's just projecting his image during that duel, sitting there and twiddling his thumbs.
I think that's a little too complicated, because then he would have to project himself falling apart, and that would be ridiculous. No, the only way you can bring him back, I think, is that he has a clone, or if somehow they give him a Force ghost ability, which I would be a little bit disappointed with, because that's reserved for the Jedi.
Yeah, they haven't established that yet. Well, again, if you go, batshit crazy into Clone Wars and Rebels, remember, there were these planets where the Darth, whatever the hell his name is still like a ghost running around there, and
that's because he's tied.
Evil Yoda, and all these other weird
that's because they weren't actually those. I remember reading, they're like Dave Filoni's stuff and things that he said and stuff. Those weren't the actual, like they had Darth Bane appear in one of the last Clone Wars episodes, but that wasn't actually Darth Bane. It was just a dark side trick, basically. It was just a dark side of the Force,
right?
Making projections.
What's keeping this director from saying, "Okay, I'm going to create a dark side widget, whatever." I just made it up.
They could
deal with it.
Yeah, he could, and unless if he handles it right, I could be on board with it. It depends on how they handle it.
And if we never hear a word from Snoke again in the next film,
then I'm gonna have a problem. Because literally, this movie, I thought itself it was good. It felt Star Warsy. It was good, but it does set up a bunch of good things for the next movie. But it also sets up a bunch of possibly bad things that could happen if they are not addressed. Not even necessarily corrected, but just addressed.
The third... oh,
God.
For the jury, please consider the third, I'd say third point of contention that people are having, including myself. Kylo Ren, in an attempt to turn her to the dark side, or whatever the freaking side he's on, kind of throws her in her face that, oh, by the way, and you're always whining and bitching and moaning about your parents. Guess what? Your parents are nobodies. They were a bunch of junk traders. They were a bunch of drunks, and they sold you for drinking money, and they died somewhere, and they buried in the blah, 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 blah yards.
That was kind of always my theory, was that her parents were just drunk traders. Like, she just popped up with the Force ability. That's it. That's what I always thought. But he could be lying.
Okay, so let me ask you some questions now. During The Force Awakens, we never see her parents.
No, we see their ship take off.
Right. As a matter of fact, they specifically, when she has her memory flashbacky thingy, they purposely never show you their face.
Yeah.
But you kind of hear they're there. You kind of hear her screaming. Why? In other words, I'm trying to ask you a question that you can't answer. Why did they not show us their face?
That is something that,
even if they're supposed to be nobodies.
Yeah, that's what
what's
makes
the danger of having their face shown?
Because in the last movie. It doesn't make it concrete. Like, it's not like they don't shove it in your face. This is how it is, It still leaves a little bit ominous, Like, there's still a chance that
what?
That Kylo Ren was lying.
When Han Solo is in Maz Kanata's castle, at one point she's like, "So what's her story?" And he's like, "Oh, cut." They cut. Almost as if he was about to tell her what was Rey's story. Like, where is she? Where is this girl? And he was almost like, "I don't want to talk about this right now." And they cut right there on purpose.
That's true.
That's a trick. That's an editing trick.
Yes.
Because they want you hanging. So they hung us now. We've been hanging for 2 years. You have this non-showing of the face being very... Who are the parents? And Han Solo seems to kind of know something that he's not letting the audience know, but he's telling Maz Kanata about it.
Originally, when I interpreted that, I could see how that could be possible, but when I originally interpreted that scene, I just thought he was describing the adventure that was already unfolding. Like, oh man, I met these people, like they just came from Jakku and they had my ship, and he doesn't want to go into detail about what just happened again, But once again, it could have been that he knew something, but we don't know. I don't really care about that specific scene.
Doesn't matter. Okay, so if JJ now turns around in the next movie and all of a sudden she is Lando's granddaughter,
that would have been a little weird.
Jabba's sister.
I don't know.
Care, whatever.
If he comes up with something new, then it depends on how they handle it. If he handles it in a good way, that fits in seamlessly, I'd be okay with it. But if he makes this whole conjoint weird crazy thing where it's like, oh, it's Grievous's left leg had a baby or so, like then it would be insane. Like if it feels forced, then it would be a problem. I would be more proud though if he just, because this is also kind of what I want. I just want her to be on her own. Like I don't want her to be Obi-Wan's daughter or something like that, you know? If he instead just solidifies the fact that yes, they were just junk traders, then that would impress me the most out of all the other things that he could do.
Earlier we were talking about how, to me, there are certain scenes that belong in a cartoon environment and not in a movie. There's a scene when Finn and Rose are being rescued by BB-8. BB-8 is hiding inside an AT-ST, and he starts shooting at the troopers, and oh my god, and all of a sudden the top of the hatch kind of explodes.
The hatch part, felt
and you get
cartoonish.
to see BB-8 now, because obviously if you don't blow up the hatch, you never know BB-8's inside.
Yeah, I feel like if they didn't blow off the hatch, that would have made it less cartoonish. It wasn't the fact that BB-8 was piloting it. That was fine. I was okay with that. It was just the fact that the hatch magically just popped off in the most weirdest, like, convenient way.
I found it ridiculous that droids are not supposed to... I mean, I know battle droids is different because they're manufactured for battle, but these are not battle droids. I found it ridiculous that you would have a droid in such an aggressive, flight... piloting a ship kind of a thing where he's just shooting at things. To me, it reminded me of Chopper.
Yeah,
again,
Chopper and
over the top,
R2-D2 does that
cartoony.
too.
No, R2-D2 doesn't go around shooting things.
Wait, but he goes around lighting battle droids on fire with gasoline and crap.
That's different because that's the prequels, and that even seems over the top to me.
It's Star Warsy, a spunky droid like a K2SO. I know he didn't go as crazy with it, but he was like
K2SO was a security droid.
Yeah, like usually he'd be like walking around, and then he'd just like go like
right. But to me, it almost seemed like a video game. Like, oh look what we can make BB-8 do now. He's on top. Now he's piloting. What's next? He's going to pilot an AT-AT. Is he going to pilot a TIE fighter?
I'd look forward to that honestly. It would be fun. I like seeing stuff like that. That's very Star Warsy to me.
We mentioned the Rose kiss, which. It seemed, I mean, I don't know, maybe everybody saw it coming, but it's like, oh, why add an extra layer?
All I'm going to say is that it was definitely coming more from Rose than it was from Finn.
Oh, no kidding.
Definitely. If Finn was like, what the hell? You know?
And how did you feel about the, I keep bringing up the fact that Canto Bight was just a waste of time, but is it possible that the only conceivable reason was to be able to introduce these kids that are maybe they're orphans? Are they orphans? Are they slaves? Yeah. Are they whatever the hell they are?
I think that definitely was a factor. But
and at the end of the movie, we have these three kids that are playing with like a little doll of Luke Skywalker and the legend of the Jedi Master Skywalker. And then the guy comes yelling, "Get out of here!" So one of the kids goes outside and he levitates the broom and he has the secret Dakota ring with the rebel symbol on it, and he puts the broom up like a sword. And we're all supposed to get all teary-eyed, I guess. Oh, look, it's the Jedi, whatever. What does that whole thing mean to you? I
think it means that the next movie, they're gonna probably have to do a time jump to say these are the future Jedi, and Rey's gonna bring these people to and train them. I just think it also, it has to be there has to be a time jump because
remember the Resistance now is about 14 people.
Yeah, they have.
How many people can you fit in the Falcon?
They have to regain. There's like 30. You can fit a lot of people.
Maybe there's 30 people because remember they had 400 when Holdo took over.
Oh,
She was like, we got 400 troops left.
One thing, I know this is a little bit off topic, but remember the guy from Force Awakens that J.J. Abrams brought in, one of his favorite actors that he had as an X-Wing pilot?
Yes.
We never saw him at all in Last Jedi.
Did he make it?
We never seen him at all.
Through?
Yeah, he lived through it, but we don't even see him at all.
But here's the other thing to keep in mind is that this movie takes place exactly
right after. Yeah, and we don't see him.
And it's the same planet.
Yeah, it's the same planet, and we just don't see it. Like he could be dead.
We could assume,
or he could be on a different mission or something.
Who knows?
This is actually going to tie into. I was playing Battlefront 2, and I finished the DLC campaign. The DLC ends with some of the characters on a Star Destroyer where they steal the plans for the Dreadnought that's in Last Jedi, and as they steal the plans, the Starkiller base blows up. right in front of them. So there's other resistance members. They're just scattered around. There's in little tiny groups.
Okay, but see,
they're doing little missions. Maybe he's on one of those missions.
Okay, but this goes back to what I was just saying.
Yeah.
You take everything and turn it into canon.
But it is canon. It's been officially said as canon.
I don't care. No, see, that's the whole point.
Oh, okay, then we're done here.
You can't,
it's canon, Dad.
No, you can't just say everything is canon.
Everything now, ever since Disney took over, everything is canon, Dad.
I don't care if they say that till they're blue in the face.
It's canon.
You're watching a movie. You only have to rely on what the movie's giving you.
Like in Rogue One, they had the ghost. That's from Rebels.
That's irresponsible filmmaking.
That's Saw Gerrera.
That's irresponsible filmmaking. If you make a movie, you can't expect your audience to be buying the books, watching the TV show, and playing the video games, and buying the toys. Not all of them. Only the insane, crazy ones.
But here's the thing: when they handled Saw Gerrera, they didn't give him the backstory. And honestly, if I hadn't watched Clone Wars, I think I would have just rolled with it and been like, "Oh, this guy's."
They took him from the movie. That's fine. I mean, the movie makes it official. Then the movie makes him a real character.
Clone Wars was always canon.
But remember, when Lucas was in charge, there were different levels of canon, and they weren't all equally on the same level.
Well, yeah, but now it is. Clone Wars is on the same amount of canon.
I don't
Rebels.
accept that. I don't care. I don't care how many times Bob Eisner tells me it's all canon.
There's the Aftermath books, which takes place in between.
Care.
And the Aftermath books connect with this game, and everything connects. Dad.
Yeah, you can't do that because then it's impossible for your average viewer to be informed.
That's why I feel like this movie
When you go to a movie, you're supposed to get all the needed parts from the movie. You want to get extra parts? Good. Go get the extra parts. But you're not supposed to be left like, what the hell does this mean? Oh, we got to read the book. No. I don't have to read any book. I have to watch a movie. Yeah, but you have to play the video. No. I don't have to play a video game. That's extra. That's like the bonus round.
I mean, I agree with you on that, but it's all the same level of canon to me. That's what I'm trying to say. I understand that, we watched Force Awakens, and then the Phasma book comes out. Oh, cool, yeah, let's read the Phasma book. And then they have a comic about how Phasma gets out of the Death Star.
Okay, but Kyle,
I'm like, yeah, that's good.
That's called marketing and merchandising.
But it's
you
all
have
canon.
to be able to know when somebody's taking you for a ride. And you're being taken for a ride if you are expected to know everything under the sun.
But I don't care because I do know everything under the sun, so it's okay. So I don't care. I know almost everything, honestly. I'm happy to say I know almost everything.
I think it's easy to say that again, I'm going to say the same thing I said before. After the second viewing, I liked the film a little better, and that's because I kind of overlooked. I kind of said, all right, this is ridiculous. Give me the next part. And then came the next part. When you really start to think about it, there's huge holes in this movie. I love the beginning of the movie. I love the end of the movie. The middle was just a mishmash with a whole bunch of sprinkles all over.
I agree with that too. To me, it didn't affect me as much, I guess. I don't know if it was because I'm younger. I don't know. It's just, I was fine with the movie overall. Everything was great to me.
Well, I guess we'll have to, at this point, wait and see what happens next. We are getting the Han Solo movie. We know that mired in a whole bunch of controversy depending on the previous two directors that were fired, and then Ron Howard takes over, which also, Ron Howard to me doesn't scream, oh my God, thank God we got Ron Howard. No, Ron Howard's kind of like a mediocre director these days.
There are things like circulating around that the actor who's playing Han Solo, I think his name is like Aldrich something.
Yeah.
He's needed a dialogue and an acting coach on set all the time, and apparently he can't act. Which I just feel like something like that. How would Disney screw that up on the first chance? That doesn't. To me, that doesn't make sense because if they were going to reshoot everything, then they would have just gotten rid of him or something by then. I just don't feel like he would be that bad if.
Well, this movie is 2018 summer allegedly.
I'm really excited for Donald Glover to be Lando because that's that was the first thing I thought of for a young Han Solo movie. If they're gonna get Lando, it has to be Donald Glover.
And to see the continuation of this particular story or the rebooting of this story, because it almost feels like they're rebooting this particular trilogy. Every time they change directors. we'll see what J.J. Abrams does. I would love to know if J.J. Abrams, and I've been hearing some other interviews or people are claiming, I don't know for sure, that J.J. Abrams set things up knowing that somebody else was going to take over and do whatever they wanted. So he really didn't think about it too much in terms of even he himself coming up with a reasonable answer. Remember, J.J. Abrams has a reputation, especially if you remember the Lost days, and he even admitted, he set up the mythology of Lost and then handed the show over to somebody else to then figure it out. Here, I'm going to create these mysteries, these MacGuffins. Now it's your turn to figure out and flesh them out and explain these mysteries. And it almost kind of feels like this is what he did here. He created all these mysterious, very important sounding things, and then, boop, turn it over to somebody else, and the person did something completely different. I don't know if he's happy or pissed off about it, or who cares, or whatever. The point is that he's now back, in the mix. He's now writing because he's apparently all these directors have to write their own scripts or something. I don't understand how they work. I just don't understand that. So what does he do at this point? Does he continue from The Last Jedi and keep the Last Jedi stuff? Does he then contradict stuff that Rian Johnson did for the first time so that he can go back to his stuff? Or does he just completely ignore his original film, the second film, and now throws a whole bunch of new rules, into the mix with the ninth film? Who knows? And this is coming out in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just going back to the Han Solo movie, I hope they push it back to the winter. Also, just because I feel like they're going to need to fix some things still, obviously, just to get the right advertising out, because they haven't advertised anything yet for the Han Solo movie, other than the poster. That's it.
I don't think the film would suffer from a lack of advertising, but it's just that we're already used to, a year-long marketing campaign.
That's the thing. That's what I'm worried about, because I feel like after we see Han Solo, I'm going to get sick, because I'm going to be like, there's no Star Wars in December.
Remember, we saw The Last Jedi, the first trailer came out during Celebration in April.
Yeah.
The movie came out in December, so it was like an 8-month period of building up and building up and building up.
Yeah.
And now this movie is coming out in 5 months. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a trailer until Toy Fair. They would. I don't know.
I feel like they're gonna do it maybe for New Year's or something.
They gotta do the Super Bowl,
or Super Bowl. Definitely the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's gotta be.
It's always the Super Bowl.
That's the only excuse you can have, unless they just drop it out of the blue in any old stupid day in January. Who knows?
Because I feel like if they're not gonna do it during the Super Bowl, maybe they'll do it during the ball drop for New Year's.
Oh, that would be something. But they would have been advertising it already.
Because I remember they did that for Spider-Man, I think, for Spider-Man 2, and they had a guy dressed up as Spider-Man on the thing. That was stupid.
Yeah.
The whole movie was stupid.
They can't do their normal San Diego Comic-Con celebration.
Yeah, because there's
Toy Fair.
There's no conventions up until that point.
But here's the crazy part. Toy Fair, they need to start pumping these toys. These toys have to be manufactured already.
They are probably. They have
Don't they have the
Lego revealed
the names of
they leaked the names of the Black Series figures they're coming out with. They have something called a Ranger Trooper, and I think it's from one of the set pictures I saw where it's like a scout trooper, but it has these gray armored arms, and it has this cool speeder. And this was months ago I saw this, but they're doing apparently two different Han Solo figures for the Black Series. They're doing a new Lando. And they're doing some other droid, and then they're going to release Tarkin, which is from Rogue One.
Do you think they'll do some sort of flashback of allegedly Han Solo rescuing Chewbacca?
I think that's how the movie is going to start, because supposedly there's a trailer that.
But are they supposed to be a lot younger than what they're?
They're like 20, 22 or something. Yeah, it's when they meet. I think is the beginning of the movie, and then I think Lando
maybe
factors
they jump
in
a few years. Or something.
Yeah, I don't think they're jumping a few years. I think it's all supposed to be one story or something.
And if the Falcon is in the movie,
Paul Bettany's in it too. He's playing a gangster.
And if the Falcon is in it, that means that we get to see him win the Falcon with those dice, with the golden dice.
Yeah, and I feel like the movie has potential to be good, but at the same time, with all the controversy, it has a possibility to be bad. Yeah. And I feel like it's definitely not going to make as much money as any of the other new Star Wars films that came out.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to make less money because, number one, the marketing campaign, the casual viewer's not going to know until like the week or two after it comes out. Like, cause I just
but remember, even the Marvel films, you're getting multiple films a year.
Yeah, I know.
So Star Wars, we're only getting one a year. So
Marvel, like everybody knows when the Marvel movies come out. Like that's something like because they can't go to the movies without seeing something for the next Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's always the next. You always see at least 2 trailers.
As long as somebody goes to the movies, they're going to go to at least one of those Marvel movies.
Well, this is good because now we have a different perspective on The Last Jedi. And once again, you have my perspective again. And like I said, I did see it a second time, and the second time was a lot easier for me to watch. I can't tell you that the movie is any better the second time around, because it is not, because unfortunately I have this stupid habit of thinking about the story instead of just enjoying the ride. But as I said before, it is not a horrible film. It is just not the best. And just like Kyle said, I would rank from the new ones. Yes, I would definitely throw Rogue One as a better one, and The Force Awakens, especially as part of this trilogy, a better one than the second one, than this particular one. So thanks, Kyle, for giving us your 2 cents on this. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed today's show. We talked about The Last Jedi once again, this being the second in a trilogy, which doesn't really feel like a second in a trilogy. This time around, I had Kyle, my son, join me and giving me his perspective. Again, granted, he's a different age range, he's a different demographic. He's even slightly towards the end of the target audience. I imagine these type of films are now more geared towards younger, teenager-y kind of kids, not us, mid-40s original trilogy people. You've gotten a different point of view, and you will get a new one in a couple of weeks when we do our final review with somebody who's really, really old school when it comes to The Last Jedi, with a slightly different opinion, and you'll get a better range of what we're talking about with this huge division when it comes to this film. So on behalf of everybody here, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon here at Geekfest Rants. Bye-bye, everybody.
Walking up the ramp, walking through the hallway. I flash back to when I was a kid with the action figures inside. Suddenly I had like a big lump in my throat. This is how it gets you.
Camera set, here we go, stand by.
And action.
Ryan is doing many unexpected things and taking characters in new directions.
The individual stories of these characters are elevated and made fresh and new.
That's what I love about Ryan's approach to the story. It's like a real journey of discovery.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8. First time shooting with Mark, first time shooting with Daisy. First time shooting a Star Wars movie, and we got some cool stuff. Sad like a dog whimper.
Yeah, that's great. Ryan's wonderful personality is all over this film.
There's too many of everybody. I misjudged this.
He has flaws in other areas. I just don't know about them.
There's the weird thing that happens when it's being built, and when you first show up on it, you're kind of overwhelmed by it all, and then you get into the nitty-gritty of working on it.
Ready, and action!
And naturally, that level of it goes away, and you find yourself just focused on making the scene work, getting the shots, and then once in a while you're taking a little break and sitting back and you look around. You get the holy crap moment again. Concentrated work split up by holy craps.
Got it. Beautiful, Gwen. Very nice. Got it.
If you would like to subscribe to our show, send us messages, or see video links to some of the topics we talked about today, please visit our homepage at geekfestrants.com or our YouTube channel, Facebook page, or iTunes at Geekfest Rants.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
Geekfest Rants is produced by Carlos Perone, copyright 2018. One, two,
This
three.
broadcast is part of the IC Robots Radio
Geekfest Rants
Network.
is produced
Visit
by Carlos
icrobots.com for this and many
2018.
other nerd/nostalgia related podcasts. You won't be sorry for long.